So, guys, Six Nations round four, Scotland versus Ireland. Big game. What do we make of it? Initial reactions.
First half was really competitive, which was good to see from Scotland, but then Ireland kind of just took it away, to be honest. They were just a different class in the second half. So, uh, mm,
It was a
Yeah,
pretty dull game. Nothing really
yeah.
happened. It was quite an attritional game, but yeah, it was that was it really. Not much more to say.
exactly, man. Brown.
Uh, I don't know. I think Scotland just put up a really good performance in the first half, but they didn't score when they could have, and that was the crucial
Yeah.
thing in the end.
I think Ireland for many people proved why they're like one of the best, test teams. Obviously not World Cup teams, but they proved you know, um I think going into the Six Nation competition, there was a lot of talk about, oh yeah, can Ireland still do it? Can Ireland find that consistency and keep that consistency? And especially like looking into next week, they are looking very, very dangerous. I think, yeah, I think
Do we
one
think, though, with the injuries of Caelan Doris, Gary Ringrose, obviously Sheenan, do you think that gives England a chance to almost get a game out of it,
Absolutely
or
not.
do you
They're
reckon it's
gonna get
gone?
England are
yeah,
gonna get smoked.
I was gonna say they still got Aki, McCloskey. Who else? Who else was injured?
Uh, uh, Doris, and then both hookers, I think, came
And
off.
then, but the thing is, Doris is injured. Conan just fits in perfectly.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm.
The hooker one is a bit more difficult because obviously they have two world class hookers there that are both injured. So
And
that's
Jack, we're talking about injuries here. Bristol still start Dunbran, Anthony Watson,
Bristol.
not
England.
Bristol. England still start Marcus Smith, Dunbran and Carl Sinclair. So we might as well them three might as well be injuries with the form they've been on. So like, I mean, I think we're just on just as much as of a disadvantage as Ireland are. I don't think there's any chance England get a result next week. I think it'll be maybe 60 realistically. I think it'll be
Oh, no, you're
No,
gonna get
Tally,
It
come
would
reaction.
be
on.
a convincing win, I think. Maybe you're looking at a bonus point Ireland win.
Yeah.
But okay, question. Would it be ridiculous to say 60 when England lost that badly at home? Now it's St. Patrick's.
No,
Is it St. Patrick's weekend next week?
I
It's a
think
Six
so, yeah.
Nations decider. Do you not know how pumped up these guys are going to be to go and just absolutely go and thump
But do you
England?
not think with England getting all the criticism and all the just the media hating on them, do you think there'll be some sort of a reaction where they might actually put up
No,
a bit of
because
like with
England
the
are
Wales game,
England
for
are dog.
example, where after the Wales instance happened with all the contracts and stuff, they took a game they actually played well. So do you not think there'd be some sort of reaction from England?
I'm telling you now,
Well,
England were
the
not.
difference is with Wales, they played well against Italy. We played
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have like put it this way, the hardest two games are right at the end. So
it's just. I mean, Jack, you say will there be a difference from England? Yeah, I think instead of having a 50-point deficit, they could cut it down to a 40. That's gonna be the biggest difference for England. I mean, look, like you compare the
well,
Irish and the English packs, it's an automatic win. I think if France could do that to England at the breakdown, Ireland's only going to be a whole lot worse. I think because Ireland's forwards have been the best forwards this competition by a landslide.
Ireland's forwards are a way better, way better than France forwards, and they're more mobile.
Yeah,
So that's the different England. Like they couldn't keep up with a slow French pack. Now think about a more dynamic Ireland pack. They're gonna run they're gonna run straight through us.
for Scotland, what do you think they'll take from the game? Looking back, take it forward towards the World Cup.
I mean, to be honest, I think Scotland have arguably they have a really good back line. They have two really good centres. They have good wingers, have good fullback. I just feel like they just lack in the forward, if I'm being completely
You're
honest.
forgetting probably their strongest asset there in the back line.
Oh, obviously Finn Russell, yeah, obviously, but he did come off injured as well. To be fair, in the game,
Yeah,
but I just feel like their forwards are so far behind the other packs that
yeah,
it doesn't allow them to compete to the standard.
yeah. But
I
they're
think
looking at
what they could probably do is sort of with their forwards instead of just trying to battle on the gain line, maybe use their skills a bit more. Look to stretch teams, find gaps, make mismatches. Because at the moment you're seeing a lot of carrying off nine, a lot of just
Yeah.
carrying off 10, when there could be a lot more of offloading, like interlinking between the forwards.
I think for me, Scotland to basically seal their way out the group stage. This Six Nation was really, a time to, build and show some sort of current wage in that pace. I'm being serious. They're not getting out the group stage now. They are pretty much not wooden spoon contenders, but I don't think there's a lot to take away from Scotland's Six Nations
It's
campaign.
My view on it, right? They had a couple of good games against a poor Wales team, and then and against England, which is also a poor right now. And I think
Yeah.
it goes back to the same point. They're not really contenders, even in the Six Nations. So like we can count them out of the World Cup because they're not going to get out the group stage, and they're not contenders into another 5 years. They need to build.
I think counting them out is unfair, even though they have a
No,
very difficult
bro,
pool.
bro,
But I think that the players that they have, like they've got probably the best team they've had in a very, very long time.
yeah.
They
Even
have the back line, and I'll say
even
it,
like
but they just don't have the forwards.
Tuipolotu coming in, he's been unbelievable. I think for me, the
Yeah.
12 of the Six Nations,
Mhm.
like he makes it into the team of the tournament. Unbelievable. Hugh Jones as well, and obviously Finn Russell. Like they've got a lot.
I'm just thinking Finn Russell wasn't that amazing against Ireland, and it proved in a big game like that. You know, they've been on a winning streak, and I don't think he was that excellent against Ireland. I think he was in a bit of a shadow of Johnny Sexton.
I
Finn
think
Russell?
we
Yeah,
go into this game talking about like, you know, can Finn Russell potentially exploit Johnny Sexton, exploit the Irish backline? And no is the answer. I mean, there was some
Well,
glimmers of hope, but it was a pretty dominant Irish win, I think.
yeah,
do you know
no.
what Finn
We're
Russell?
looking at it from a
Finn
team.
Russell. Finn
Sorry, I
Russell
was
needs
just
to go. Finn Russell needs to go away, right? And work on an actual structured game plan, and then also add in the moments of flair. With Sexton, he's not a most flary player, but he has the basics around him. Where Finn Russell just tries to pull the trigger too much, in my opinion.
I have to,
I think what we saw from him on the weekend was the opposite. There were a lot of times where he was happy to not have the ball, or when he did have the ball, just play a simple pass. Because he very rarely tried to pull the trigger against Ireland when he shouldn't have.
See, the one thing I want to say about Russell is I feel like he's just too much of a risk taker. I mean, you look at the
Yeah.
penalty, the penalty in the 39th minute or so, the last play of the first half, and obviously you got the captain who contributes into that during Richie. But Russell straight away he wants to kick to the corner. He doesn't want to take the three and go up at half time. So I don't. That's not. I'm not saying that's obviously a negative towards his game, but he needs to find the balance where you have to lead into that after that first half. Scotland deserve to be winning after the first half. So I feel like you need to kind of be on that sort of
yeah.
cut out.
I do want to make a comment on that because I'm always going to support Russell in this situation, just because, as you say, he's not got the pack around him that's going to dominate games. So a lot of the time, he is going to have to do the things that he's doing, and he knows that. He's like, if he was in a team where the forwards are always going forward, he'll know that he won't have to pull the trigger, but he will have to more than most fly halves because of the situations that he's in.
But
Yeah.
let's not lie and say to ourselves, he is a Scottish JJ Ochoa in terms of he has the skills. He makes a good highlight reel. But what else in terms of having substance to his game? Is there a lot of
But
substance?
I think it's really unfair to say that when he's been the reason for Scotland's wins.
But as Kieran said, we have to look at the wins against who? A win against a poor Welsh team, and then an England team that just got pumped 50 points on the weekend. So
Yeah,
like it brings it all into perspective, I think. Those are the results.
But then he was one of the Scotland's best players against France, bar the intercept. Obviously, we had a conversation about that, and he still had a good game yesterday. And I think to say he played bad yesterday would be unfair. He still was top of line break assists, still ran the attack.
Yeah.
I don't
But
think
I just want to say
the problem is with Russell, he doesn't have the points to show for it. He got under the pump against Ireland and couldn't get the points on the board, so it doesn't really matter. If he
Yeah,
hasn't got
but,
the line.
but the decisions to get the points on the board comes from the captain. That situation Jack was talking about, he gave the ball to Stuart Hogg, who's their range kicker, and then Stuart Hogg gave it back to him to kick to the corner. So that's not Russell's decision.
No, I'm on about in just general play. I'm saying that like when Russell picks these line breaks and picks the players to get through the holes, if they're not leading to points, they're not really that effective.
But how is that Russell? How can you blame that on Russell? For example, the Van der Merwe chance where Hugo Keenan put in one of the best bits of defense I've ever seen. Yeah, he put Van der Merwe for a gap, and then
Van der Merwe should have offloaded.
he has to look to his
that
outside.
should be a try. I'm not being funny.
Got two players that should be a try every single day. That can't be down to Russell, who's done his job there.
Yeah, no, it's true. I do want to give credit to the Scotland centres as well. Both of them have been outstanding every game. And I feel like they've almost been a revelation because they help and they complement Russell a lot more. Obviously, Hugh Jones, his lines. Tally, what are you doing that for?
I think we went back and looked at all of Scotland's tries. I think half, if not more than half, have come from their centre partnership.
Yeah.
they're all right. I want to see them come up against,
Oh,
I want to see them come up against, an Dialende, Jordy Barrett,
They
Ioane,
would get
and
honestly,
Funny,
they'd get
they probably
smashed.
actually good centership pairing to see what
bro,
they.
and that cut out completely. Then just want to run with your hair over that.
sorry, I was just wait. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
And they probably their center combinations perform the best this Six Nations over any other combination.
Well, let's be honest. If Danty plays the whole Six Nations, Danty and Faku play the best. I know that's hypothetical, but Danty and Faku's
Yeah, but
performance,
it is hypothetical, isn't it?
Danty and Faku's performance against England.
Danty's not that special. He's good for what he is, but he's not that
Oh
special.
my
no,
God!
come on,
Oh
man.
Lord,
Come on!
No,
Come
what?
on!
You're gonna no one can tell me that he's a special player.
he is a
No one
special
can.
player.
He's a very solid player. He's very
Sorry,
good.
Rohan, the player that you banged up for so long about Ollie Lawrence looked like a kid against Danty. I'm not
Thank
being funny.
you.
Danty had him in his pocket the whole game.
No, but we're comparing a seasoned international to someone who's got less than 10 caps.
Yeah, but if you're
He's
going to say
got-
Ollie
Danty as a
Lawrence is really
player-
special,
Danty as a player is very good for what he is. Don't get me wrong, very
Yes.
very good for what he is. But he's not that special. When you compare him to a player like Hugh Jones or Tuipolotu that is contributing to points consistently, Danty's not that. Danty will carry through the middle and make his tackles.
Rohan,
but
defense.
I would
Danty
actually
doesn't need to
rather-
do anything else.
Defense.
Yeah, I'm not
rather
saying
on
he
the level.
does. I'm just saying if we're looking at we're looking at output, Tuipolotu and Hugh Jones do more in games.
Rohan, can I ask a
I would
question?
rather take.
How-
I'd take one Danty. I'd take one Danty over both of the Scottish centres.
Yeah, I would.
He's way better than both of them put together.
Ro-
Genuinely.
Ro- Rohan,
Do you know
have they had
what? One thing that annoys me about this is that no one was talking about Danty last year. None of you were. No one was talking about him the year before that. He comes
I
back
actually
after
did.
an injury.
Okay, and who was talking about
He
Hugh
comes-
Jones last
wait,
year?
Rohan,
hold on. No.
when we did the Six Nations draft run, I picked him before anyone knew he was coming back from injury.
And-
So
and
I
who picked
did
him?
think he'd be.
Mate, that he was like your 100th pick, all right? Don't
He
use
was
Well,
that.
no
talking
one-
about Hugh Jones
And
last
anyway,
year.
I'm not done talking. So no one was talking about him a year ago when he was fully fit playing for France. He's doing the
Okay.
same stuff now that he was doing a year ago. The difference is he's had a big
Rohan, that's a
injury
lie.
and come back.
Rohan,
That is
that's a lie.
100% true.
No, the
Bro,
difference
bro,
is we've seen what
question.
France saw. No, Ron, the difference is we've seen what France saw without him. And when he's back, he made England. The Senators did nothing against him. He tackled Lawrence every single
Thank
time.
you.
Lawrence didn't
Thank
make any
you.
meets, didn't do anything special.
Absolutely.
And I know England didn't have the ball. I'm not going to deny that Lawrence had all these opportunities because he didn't. But when he did absolutely nothing because Danty was there.
Rohan, question.
I'm not saying he's a
Rohan.
bad player. I'm just saying he's not a special player. He's not a player that's going to revolutionize the way a team plays.
Rohan, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, after 2017, we can all agree here Hugh Jones fell into irrelevancy.
Because he was injured. Yeah, because he was injured.
Tuipolotu last year, who was speaking about him. Danty is like for the last 2 years.
Tuipolotu was a role player last year. Tuipolotu's improved over the last year.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, so then you can't use your whole thing was saying, well, yeah, who was even rating Danty? Danty's been more rated than the two of them. It's not even close.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying nobody was talking about him in that French team with Dupont, Olivon, Aldry, Penaud.
Yeah.
No one was talking about Danty. He comes back and puts in a good performance, a solid performance, and all of a sudden he revolutionizes the way that France play.
Do you want to
I
know
just don't
something,
see it.
Brian? Do you want to know something?
What?
Is for Hugh Jones and Tuipolotu, when your best player on your team is Finn Russell, and then when you're Danty and the best player on your team is arguably somebody that can be a top 10 player of all time, I don't really think it's just like, come on, you're talking about getting noticed. You're playing for Scotland. It's easy to get noticed on Scotland. Come on.
No, I'm not saying that he's a bad player. I'm a big fan of him, but I'm just saying he's not a player that's going to come in and revolutionize the way a team play.
But he doesn't revolutionize how teams play, but he revolutionizes the team's performance
And
in the
defense,
way that
especially.
France were a lot better with him than without him. And that's just factual. Because I reckon if he plays for France and the James Lowe try doesn't get awarded because it shouldn't have been, France win that game.
Yes.
And I confidently say that.
I a theoretical, and Ireland, let's be honest, dominated that game. Like they completely dominated it in the end. Like towards the end of the game, there was no France in it whatsoever. But just on the Danty thing, I'm going to say it again because he is a very good player. But then no one can tell me. Obviously, they're better with him than they are without him. But no one can tell me that he revolutionizes them or he's a game changer.
Bro, and
He
it's
might
hard to
be. He might be.
revolutionize it's hard to revolutionize a team when you're playing with Antoine Dupont, Damien Penaud, Ntamag, Fakou. Like these are generational players we're talking about, and this is what I'm trying to.
So you're not disagreeing with me then, are you?
But Rohan, what I'm trying to say is like I think the impact Danty has on the French team is probably like not as noticeable because of how good the players around him are. But if you're Hugh Jones and Tuipolotu on that Scottish team, which is bang average, of course you're gonna like be a noticeable player or be an influential player. Like it's
Okay,
easy.
I want to put it out there about how much you were slandering Danty before, because you were slandering. You said he had no IQ.
Yeah.
All he did was just
Can
carry
opinions
through.
not change?
Oh,
That's true as well. And Kieran, I didn't hear you arguing with it before
Yeah,
then.
but,
Arguing what?
Rohan,
The only thing I'll say about Jack is that he chose him in the draft after like most of the centers were gone.
right, that's just a lie.
Bro, my slandering of Danty was coming. Like, if we're gonna say it, let's give it a bit of context. We're talking about the best centers in the world, right? And I said I would not let Danty touch that Ioane Fakou level. I don't think Danty's at that level, right? But then to put Danty and Hugh Jones and Tuipolotu in the same conversation is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. Danty was on an unbeaten.
So you're gonna disagree that Scotland's centers have been the best performing centers this Six Nations?
I think Ireland centers have performed better than Scotland centers.
What, McCloskey?
Yeah.
Well, no, because they've changed them, Taddy. They've changed them. So that's a stupid opinion. They've changed
Tuipolotu and Hugh Jones have been the best performing as a combination, the two best centers in the tournament.
That for me, and also for me, that one game last week by France was better than anything Hugh and Tuipolotu have done all competition from Danty and Fakou. Better than
right now, if I had the choice between Danty and Tuipolotu, I'm taking Tuipolotu right now.
I'm actually finished.
I am because they offer similar in terms of physicality. They offer the same amount. Tuipolotu has way better skills and ability to open up the game. He does.
France would rather have Danty than Tuipolotu.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not arguing because France have already got those players around them, so they'd rather have Danty in their team than Tuipolotu. But as a player, I'm taking Tuipolotu.
But Danty knows his limits, that he doesn't have to do anything special. He's just there to stop every centre running.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but I'm just saying Tuipolotu offers a lot more at 12.
He just has more to do because of the team he's in.
But
I bet Danty has that skill set.
Skill sets, Jack. If we look at their skill sets and look at what Tuipolotu's been creating, Danty can't do that. And for everything that he can do that he is really good at, he's not a player that's going to create or set players free with his hands, and that's something that Tuipolotu is much, much better at.
So, guys, looking into next week, obviously Ireland have England. What do we think? And obviously, I think Scotland have Italy. So, what are we making of those games?
England is more of like a chance to like put all of the this week's wrongs right. In my opinion, they need to be physical against the Irish for them to stand a chance. Their four-pack needs to stand up, and I think England need to get rid of Marcus Smith and put Farrell straight back in there.
Yep. I don't really think it matters who England have at 10. I reckon that Farrell could maybe reduce the deficit, but I think England might concede 60. I think it's going to be an absolute pumping.
To be fair, it would be the most England thing to actually win the game if they did win. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to happen because I know Ireland are going to win, but it would be the most England thing to win that game.
Is there a chance, are we saying, that England could win that game?
If you look at the best teams in the world right now, the one thing that they have down perfectly is the breakdown. Like the ball presentation, the contact work, they're just so much more efficient at the breakdown. And I think if England do that, then they're up there in terms of level. They're up with the top 3 teams in the world. But that's one thing that they need to sort out. I genuinely think they're a top 3 team, or they can compete with the top 3 with good work at the breakdown.
Can they sort out by next week, though?
No.
So what are we saying for score predictions, that sort of thing?
I'll go with 30-32, 18 to Ireland.
25, 15 to Ireland.
45-7. I'll
go 29-17 to Ireland.
Guys, you guys.
It's going to be a lot closer. England aren't just going to get walked over twice in a row.